Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
All praises be to the power of this universe, the King of this universe, the one responsible for each and every one of our lives. Let us at this time face the east and raise the ark, asking and praying that Yah would watch over us this day. May He grant us a peaceful and even a wonderful Shabbat day of praise and worship to Him, our King and our Creator, the one responsible for our very existence. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Kuma Yehovah, Weyafusu Oiveka, Weyanusu Isaneka Mipaneka. Kuma Yehovah, Weyafusu Oiveka, Weyanusu Isaneka Mipaneka. Kuma Yehovah, Weyafusu Oiveka, Weyanusu Isaneka Mipaneka. Hallelujah.
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 Baruch Yehovah Baruch Baruch Yehovah Betzoharaim, Baruch Yehovah Be'erev, Baruch Yehovah Belayla, Baruch Yehovah Yom Yom, Uvaruch Yehovah Tamid. Yehovah Eloheinu B'vakusha, Lishloach lanu leko devarim ra'im she'asinu lefaneka Yom Yom, V'liyot imanu kol hayom hazeh, Lema'an Shemka Yehovah, Elohei Avraham, Yitzchak u'Yisrael, Elohei Avotenu Eli, Lishmoa B'kolina, Im Tirese Otka, Lema'an Shemka Yehovah. Hallelujah.
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 Kaya.
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 Selah. Again, thanking the power of this universe for each and every one of our lives, for His mercy, His love, His kindness. You may have noticed I used the word kai instead at first and said kaya. It's an understanding that our Cohane brought when he returned from the Holy Land, that we understand and know how our language is spoken, and that we use the word kai first and then Yah after, because our language is not spoken like the English language is. And so now you'll hear us when we say, instead of saying Yah Kai, we will be saying Kai Yah, because we grow and we learn each and every day in this return, and we continue to be made aware of new things, and this is a process in returning to the Creator Maker of heaven and earth. There's much that we've lost, and we have to be prepared to receive new information as we grow and as we return to the King of this universe. Let us join our voices to sing the song Ze'et HaShabbat, found on page 3 in our Sidorim. This is the Shabbat day, and we are happy to be here to praise and glorify our King, Yehovah Zebaoth. On page 3, let us sing the song Ze'et HaShabbat. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Ze'et HaShabbat, Sameach ani. Ze'et HaShabbat, Sameach ani. Ze'et HaShabbat, Sameach ani ohev hayom shel Hashem. Ze'et hayom hatov, Sameach ani. Ze'et hayom hatov, Sameach ani. Ze'et hayom hatov, Sameach ani ohev hayom shel Hashem. Ki Hashem hu shelach kol yomim, Ki Hashem hu natan kol divarim. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hashem Kadash, Sameach ani. Hashem Kadash, Sameach ani. Hashem Kadash, Sameach ani ohev hayom shel Hashem. Ani ohev hayom shel Hashem. Ze'et HaShabbat, Sameach ani. Ze'et HaShabbat, Sameach ani. Ze'et HaShabbat, Sameach ani ohev hayom shel Hashem. Ze'et hayom hatov, Sameach ani. Ze'et hayom hatov, Sameach ani. Ze'et hayom hatov, Sameach ani ohev hayom shel Hashem. Ki Hashem hu shelach kol yomim, Ki Hashem hu natan kol divarim. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hashem Kadash, Sameach ani. Hashem Kadash, Sameach ani. Almighty King, power of this universe, you, O Yah, who are responsible for our very existence.
That's right.
We bow our heads to thank you for considering us this day, for extending your mercy towards us, Almighty Yah, for another opportunity to live another day, to praise and glorify your name, to thank you for your continuous mercy towards us, the love that you continue to show us, your kindness time and time again, for considering us, oh Father, in spite of what we've done to you, in spite of how many times we stray from you, in spite of the fact that we've sinned as a people over and over again, and we continue to sin as human beings alive. We are not perfect, yet you, all-knowing, all-understanding, all-compassionate and merciful, give us time and time again, chance after chance. To stand here alive this day in itself is a blessing. To know who you are, Almighty God, is a blessing. To be given this opportunity to call upon your name when for years we knew not the name Yehovah, the eternal King of this universe. This day we stand proud to know that you are our deliverer, that you are our rock and our redeemer, that you are the one responsible for each and every one of our lives. And we can bow our heads and say, Todah, Almighty King. We can say Todah for every meal that you allowed us to eat this week, when there were families and individuals, many thousands, millions across the face of this earth who had not a meal to eat. We can say Todah for the clothes that we have to put on our bodies, homes to live in, the many times you provide for us and give us the means to maintain and sustain ourselves. We thank thee, Almighty King. We call upon your name this day. We bless your name. We praise and glorify you and none other, for you are our rock and our redeemer, Almighty God. There is no deity that can be likened unto thee. There is no man that can be compared to you. There is no force that exists in this universe that can be likened to you, our King and our Creator. For you are the power of this universe, King on high, and there is none like unto you, O Yah. Father, we ask that you would continue to be merciful towards us, that you would forgive us, Father, for our shortcomings, that you would remember those throughout this earth that are this day in places such as this, in their homes bowing their heads and acknowledging you, thanking you, glorifying your name, praising you, calling upon you. Hear our cries and our plea. Accept the songs that we sing before you, Father, the prayers that we utter silent, private prayers by some individuals, by some families. Accept us, Almighty Yah. Remember us, O Heavenly Father. See our plight in these lands of our captivity, whither we've been scattered. Deliver us and even shield and protect us, O Father. You see and know the hand of these presidents in the countries that we live in and what they are doing. The fact, O Heavenly King, that they do not consider life, many of them. They would not think twice to send families and men to war, great King. Protect us as you place your hand in this earth, O Father. Deliver and shield us, great King, from the dangers that exist around us. Watch over us as we prepare and protect our families in places such as this from those who may decide they want to commit suicide and take other lives as well. We ask that you would be our shield, that you would be our protector, that you would be our provider, that you would watch over us and our families, the children, as they go to and from school, when we go out and come in many times in places that we have no control over what could transpire. You are our deliverer, Father. We thank you, O Yah, for your love, your kindness, your mercy, for this day to just gather and have a holy convocation as you commanded, and call upon you, our King and our Creator. Blessed art thou, O Yah, and highly to be praised. All praises, glory, and honor be to you, our King, now and forevermore. Hallelujah! 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 Hiya! 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 Selah. O Shema Yisrael,
Yahovah Eloheinu, Yahovah Eloheinu.
Hallelujah. You may be seated. Let us join our voices at this time to utter the words of this prayer found on page 4 in our Sidrah. Words put together by men who had a strong desire to understand, praise, and serve the power of this universe. And in doing so, these words would bless the name of Yah, a power who is deserving of such praise, glory, and honor.
That's right.
Let us join our voices to even bless the name of Yah with all our heart, soul, and might. Let us show the creator and maker of heaven and earth our gratitude for his continuous mercy, love, and kindness towards us. The prayer found on page 4 in our Sidrah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Blessed art thou, O Yehovah, our power, and blessed be the works of thy hands. And the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the 7th day Yah finished his work which he had made. And he rested on the 7th day and hallowed it, because that in it he rested from all his works which Yah in creating had made. O thou who art most holy, look upon thy people in mercy. Hear thou us, O power of Abraham. Nurture us, O power of Yitzchak. Save us, we implore thee, O power of Israel. Blot us not out, O Yah, though our sins be many. Cast our evil doings into the bottomless pit, to remain forevermore. Our hope is in thee, O Yah, and without thy mercy we have naught. Father of wisdom, thou dispenser of knowledge, cause our hearts to discern and our minds to retain thy law. Bless Yisrael to know thee as we did in the days of yore. Let the sign of the Shabbat shine brightly from this thy house, and from us thy people Yisrael. Let our voices mingle with the host of heaven as we joyfully proclaim, blessed be the name of our power, and blessed be his holy day. Hallelujah. Shema. Shema.
Baruch Yehovah.
Yisrael. Yehovah has made, and let us be glad and rejoice thereon. Unto thee do I lift up mine eyes, O thou that art enthroned in the heavens. Ascribe unto Yehovah the glory due unto his name. Worship Yehovah in the beauty of holiness. In thee, O Yah, do I take refuge. Let me never be ashamed. Thou hast given us joy in the place of sorrow. Thy truth is like a heady wine. Shout for joy, O ye children of Israel. Proclaim the name of our King, to whom the sun doth shine and the winds sing. Jehovah is our sun and shield. Who then could master us? To thee, power of our fathers, do we give honor and glory. For who is Yah beside thee? Be thou our judge, O Yah, against the ungodly nations. Save us, O our King, we beseech thee. Then shall we come clapping, singing, jumping, shouting, praising, crying, extolling thy holy name. For with thee is the fountain of light. In thy light do we see light. Thy loving kindness, Yah, is in the heavens. Thy faithfulness reacheth unto the skies. Depart from evil and do good, and dwell forevermore in peace. For Jehovah loveth justice and forsaketh not his holy ones. Hallelujah. Shema. Shema. Israel. Where is the power of Abraham, who didst call our father from Chaldea? Art thou not he, O power of Israel? Where is the power of Yitzchak, who did bless him with the righteous Rivkah? Thou art one and the same. Who knoweth him who changed Yaakov's name? Thou, O Yah, will forever remain. Though Joseph sojourned in Egypt, yet did all men show him favor. Thy hand, O Yah, was with him. Thou didst help Moshe and Yisrael against Pharaoh, who stood up the mighty Red Sea. Manna dropped from heaven to sustain thy people in the wilderness. They fashioned a calf to bow down to, yet to Israel didst thou show mercy. We give thanks unto thee, O Yah, and we will tell of thy wondrous works. In Yehuda is Yah known, his name is great in Israel. His foundation is in the holy mountains. We will sing of the mercies of Jehovah forever. Unto all generations will we make them to be known. Stay thou, O Yah, in the midst of us. Cause righteousness once more to be sown. So shall the heavens praise thy wonders, Yah, thy faithfulness in the holy assembly. Let Israel awaken the day with their praises. Glory to Yah now and forevermore. Hallelujah. Shema. Shema. Israel. Yahweh. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
O Yah, thou art my power. Earnestly will I seek thee. Hear my voice, merciful Father. Preserve me from mine enemies. Send out thine angels to protect me, O thou that hearest prayer. With thy mighty hand, Yah, subdue all those that hate us. Remember us in mercy, Yah, and pardon all our transgressions. Except our power doth bless us, how could we hope to prosper? Unless our Creator protect us, we are as if we had not been. Stay thy hand, O death, for he doth forgive our iniquities. So will I sing praises to his name, that I may perform my vows. The dead praise not Jehovah, nay, nor any that go down into silence. Let us extol our power while we have life. Sing praises to our power while we have any being. Together we will lift up our voices and gratefully sing. Withhold not thy voice from extolling our Maker. Let young and old praise him together. Let the tribes come near and testify. Even the tribes of Israel, the mighty of Jehovah. Say among the nations, Jehovah reigneth. Thy power, Israel, over all the world. For Jehovah will not cast off his people, neither will he forsake his inheritance. Thy testimonies are very sure. Holiness becometh thy house, now, O Yah, and forevermore. Hallelujah. Shema. Shema Yisrael, Yahovah, Eloheinu, Yahovah, Eloheinu, Yahovah, Echad, Baruch, Shem Kevod, Malchuto, Leolam, WaYeHi. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Let us join our voices to sing the song HaTorah, found on page 6 in our Sidorim. May our King, Yah, our power, may he open our minds and give us understanding and help us to understand and even live this law as we prepare to open the book of the law. The song HaTorah on page 6 in our Sidorim. HaTorah, HaTorah, Petach HaTorah ve'yemod Hashem, whereby shall we return unto thee, for thy word to be fulfilled by thy Lord, by thy Lord, in our hearts it is to be instilled. HaTorah, each other in the spirit of true righteousness. By thy loyal is the only way we must confess our Torah, our Torah, et Torah ve'nelmod achshav. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. The blessing for the Torah can be found on page 7, Salakli, in our Sidorim. Ani po Baruch Hashem shel Yehovah. Baruch Yehovah yom yom. Baruch Yehovah tamid. Uvaruch haba likra et haTorah. Mode ani lefeneka Yehovah Eloheinu. Natan lanu et haTorah.
Hallelujah.
This time our sisters are asked to be seated, and all of our males are asked to remain standing. May the power of this universe place his spirit upon each and every one of us, so that we all stand strong to represent his Lord. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Our Hebrew reading for this Shabbat WaYeHi will be taken from the book of Genesis, beginning in the 50th chapter and the 4th verse, reading through the 26th verse. Once again, our Hebrew reading for this Shabbat WaYeHi will be taken from the book of Genesis, the 50th chapter, beginning in the 4th verse and reading through the 26th verse.
Amen.
And it reads on this wise in Hebrew. Waya'avru yemei vekito. Waydabir Yosef el beit paro lemor. Im na masati kain. Be'enekem dabruna. Be'azne faro lemor. Avi hishviani lemor. Hine anoki mate. Bequivri. Ashir kariti li be'eretz kena'an shama. Tiku bereni. We'ata elena. We'ekubera et avi, we'ashuva. Wayomir paro, ele uv kor et avika, ka'ashir hishbieka. Waya'al Yosef, likbor et avil. Waya'alu ito kol avde far o zikne beito, we'kol zikne eretz mitzrayim.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And when the days of weeping for him were past, Joseph spoke unto the house of Pharaoh, saying, If now I have found favor in your eyes, speak, I pray you, in the ears of Pharaoh, saying, My father made me swear, saying, Lo, I die in my grave which I have digged for me in the land of Canaan, there shalt thou bury me. Now therefore let me go, I pray thee, and bury my father, and I will come back. And Pharaoh said, Go up and bury thy father according as he made thee swear. And Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt.
Hallelujah. Modim anachnu lak, she'ata hu Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, WaYaakov le'olam va'ed, likra et misharit Yaakov ben Dan ben Yisrael.
אני פה ברוך השם שהיה.
Baruch Yehovah yom yom. Baruch Yehovah tamid. Ubaruch haba likra et haTorah.
מודה אני לפניך היה שנתן לנו את התורה.
Hallelujah.
בכל בית יוסף ואחיו ובית אביו. רק טפם וצאנם ובקרם עזבו בארץ גושן. ויעל עמו גם רכב גם פרשים. ויהי המחנה כבד מאוד. ויבואו עד גורן האתר אשר בעבר הירדן. ויספדו שם מספד גדול וכבד מאוד. ויעזלביו אבל 7 ימים.
Hallelujah.
And all the house of Joseph and his brethren and his father's house, only their little ones and their flocks and their herds, they left in the land of Goshen. And they went up with him, both chariots and horsemen. And it was a very great company. And they came to the threshing floor of a tide, which is beyond the Jordan. And there they wailed with a very great and sore wail. And he made a mourning for his father 7 days.
Hallelujah.
Modim אנחנו לך שאתה הוא אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב לעולם ועד.
לקרא את ביקור אל יפה בן מורתבל בן לוי בן ישראל.
ברוך יהוה יום יום ברוך יהוה תמיד וברוך הבא לקרוא את התורה. Hallelujah.
וירא יושב הארץ הכנענית את האבל בגורן העמד ויאמרו האתן ויאמרו אבל כבד זה למצרים על כן קרא שמה אבל מזרעים אשר בעבר הירדן ויעשו ונעל לו כן כאשר ציוום ויישאו אותו ונעל ארצה כנען ויקברו אותו במערת שדה המקפלה אשר קנה אברהם את השדה לאחוזת קבר מאת עפרון הכתי על פני ממרא. הכיתי על פני ממרא.
Hallelujah.
And when the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning in the floor of a tide, they said, "This is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians." Wherefore the name of it was called Abel Mitzrayim, which is beyond the Jordan. And his sons did unto him according as he commanded them. For his sons carried him into the land of Canaan, and buried him in the cave of the field of Machpelah, which Abraham bought with the field for possession of a burying place of Ephron the Hittite, in front of Mamre.
Hallelujah.
מודים אנחנו לך שאתה הוא אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב לעולם ועד.
לקרא את ביקור רפאל בן כהן זדוק בן ישראל.
ברוך יהוה יום יום ברוך יהוה תמיד וברוך הבא לקרוא את התורה. Hallelujah.
וישב יוסף מצרימה ואכן האוהלים איתו לקבר את אבי אחרי קברו את אביו ועירו אך יוסף כי מת אביהם ויאמר יצטננו יוסף ואשר ישיב לנו את Hara'a asher ganu amanu oto wa'itzu witau Yosef lemor abika Itwa Lifne Moto
Amen.
And Joseph returned into Egypt, he and his brethren, and all that went up with him to mourn his father, after he had buried his father. And when Joseph's brethren saw that their father was dead, they said, it may be that Joseph will hate us, and will fully requite us all the evil which we did unto him. And they sent a message unto Joseph, saying, thy father did command before he died, saying,
Hallelujah. Modim anaknu lak, she'atahu Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, ve'Yaakov le'olam va'ed.
Likra et akot niflaya eshet shomer Eliezer bat Lewi bat Yisrael.
Amen.
Baruch Yahovah Yom Yom, Baruch Yahovah Tamid, Ubaruch Haba Likra et HaTorah. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Potomru Yosef Anasha Sa Na Tesha Akeka Bekatatam Ira Agema Luka We'ata Sa Na Lefesha Af de Elohe Avika WaYeHi Yosef Edavram Emar WaYokugam Ekayo WaYaflu Lafanao WaYomru Ineyo Leka La'avadim WaYomed Alehem Yosef Al Tira'u Ki Atakat Elohim.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So shall ye say unto Joseph, forgive thee now the transgression of thy brethren and their sin, for that they did unto thee evil. And now we pray thee, forgive the transgression of the servants of the power of thy father.
That's right.
And Joseph wept when they spoke unto him.
That's right.
And his brethren also went and fell down before his face, and they said, behold, we are thy bondmen. And Joseph said unto them, fear not, for am I in the place of Elohim?
Hallelujah. Modim anaknu lak, she'atahu Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, WeYaakov le'olam va'ed. Likra et bekora yadea bat more tavel ben Lewi ben Yisrael.
Baruch Yahovah Yom Yom, Baruch Yahovah Tamid, Ubaruch Haba Likra et HaTorah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Wa'atem Kashavtem Alai Ra'a Elohim Kashavahu Letova Lema'an Asti Kayom Hazeh Lahakaf Yot Am Ra Wata Al Tira'u Anoki Akal Ke Etken Wa'et Tapken Wainake Otam Wainader Al Libam WaYeHi Yosef, Ben-Israel, Hu, Ovet, Avio, WaYeHi Yosef, Me'ah, WaEster, Shanim.
Hallelujah.
And as for you, ye meant evil against me.
That's right.
But Elohim meant it for good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive. Now therefore fear ye not. I will sustain you and your little ones. And he comforted them and spoke kindly unto them. And Joseph dwelt in Egypt, he and his father's house. And Joseph lived 110 years.
Hallelujah.
Modim anachnu lak she'atahu Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu Avraham Yitzchak ve'Yaakov le'olam va'ed.
Likra et Maftir al Shabbat WaYeHi Akh Oren ben Yisaskar ben Yisrael.
Baruch Yahuwah Yom Yom, Baruch Yahuwah Tamid, Ubaruch Haba Likra et HaTorah. Hallelujah.
WaYeHi Yosef le Ephraim b'nei Sheloshim Gam b'nei Maftir ben Menashe Yudu al Birkei Yosef. WaYomer Yosef el Ekal Anoki Mate WaElohim Pakod Yifkod Etkem WaHe'elah Etkem Min Haaretz Hazot El Haaretz Asher Nisva Le Avraham Le Yitzchak U Yaakov Wayashva Yosef et Bnei Yisrael Lemor Pakod Yifkod Elohim Etkem We Ha'alitem et Azmota Mizeh Wayamat Yosef Ben Me'ah Wa Eser Shanin Wayakan Tu Hoto Wayisem Ba'aron Be Mitzrayim.
Hallelujah.
And Joseph saw Ephraim's children of the third generation. The children also of Maftir, the son of Manasseh, were born upon Joseph's knees. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I died. But Elohim will surely remember you and bring you up out of this land, unto the land which he swore unto Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. And Joseph took an oath of the children of Israel, saying, Elohim will surely remember you, and ye shall carry my bones from hence. So Joseph died, being 110 years old, and they embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin in Egypt.
Hallelujah. Modim anachnu lak she'atahu Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu Avraham Yitzchak ve'Yaakov le'olam va'ed.
Shabbat Shalom L'kol.
Shabbat Shalom Lecha.
Hashem may be seated. It's always a good thing. A, to be alive, to know, have knowledge of self, and to even stand in front of Most High's people. The Haftorah portion for today is going to come from 1 Kings, 2nd chapter. Starting at verse 1 through 12. And we'll just step through it smoothly, put it that way. Simple history, but the history is good. If you don't know it, I suggest take your time to go through it. Me and Zaquan, this is our time right here. It's history right here. You got questions all up through these portions.
Go ahead.
As kind of read through the Maftir or through the Torah portion, Yaakov is making transition. Joseph is making transition, and then this portion right here, David, who was the king, he sees his time is coming, and he's giving out words of wisdom to Solomon. We have you go ahead and start out, Zaquan, and that's 1 Kings 2nd chapter.
Now the days of David drew nigh that he should die, and he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong therefore, and show thyself for man, and keep the charge of Jehovah thy power, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes, and his commandments, and his ordinances, and his testimonies, according to that which is written in the law of Moses, that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest, and whithersoever thou turnest thyself, that Jehovah may establish his word which he spoke concerning me, saying, if thy children take heed to their way, to walk before me in truth, with all their heart and with all their soul, there shall not fail thee, said he, a man on the throne of Israel.
So these, maybe back in that time, these words might not have been familiar, but for us and for the young ones and whoever that's been active all your life, I shouldn't have to, if I'm on my bed, I shouldn't have to tell you what to do to gain favor of the Most High. But, David is lucky that everyone doesn't get a chance to give some final words. Some people just get taken out in an instance. But that's what we come here every week for, this foundation that you should already have to know that, granted, you may not do everything perfect. Everything ain't going to be done the right way, but if you keep a steadfast, keep on the path of the Most High and the laws he left before you, then you're going to be all right. Trust me, the Most High will see you through it. And that's what David is trying to iterate to Solomon at this point in time through these first 5 verses. Have you continue?
Moreover, thou knowest also what Joab, the son of Zeruiah, did unto me, even what he did to the 2 captains of the host of Israel, unto Abner, the son of Ner, and unto Amasa, the son of Yeter, whom he slew, and shed the blood of war in peace, and put the blood of war upon his girdle that was about his loins, and in his shoes that were on his feet.
It's a shame that, David is talking about his own nephew.
Right.
I mean, it's bad when, if we hit the money, or if someone hit the lottery, or we become wealthy, that, we shouldn't, it shouldn't tear down the family. Because David, they had some family issues. Right. I shouldn't be telling Kayela, make sure you take care of Nasiel when they don't even sound right. It don't even sound right. And it's all the Joab's fault. Right. Joab was a person that was willing to do anything for some position. You can't.
All the tricks.
Yeah, you can't be in life. You can't be willing to just cut anybody, family, whoever, whatever, just to be in position.
That's right.
The next beneficiary, or the next whatever in this day and time. If you a bad man, if you good at what you do, right, then you'll be. They're gonna find you.
That's right.
Marshawn Lynch was sitting on the couch all year for my football people.
Right.
He retired sitting on the couch all year.
That's right.
And when they needed, there are plenty, hundreds of running backs in the world.
Right.
But we need a bad boy.
Yep. Sold him out.
They go call him off the couch.
Right.
Joab didn't have to do nothing. They needed to get some work done. They didn't know who. Solomon would have wisened up and knew who to go. Let's go find Joab and the sons of those other. But how he continues our coin. Verse 6.
Do therefore according to thy wisdom, and let not his hoary head go down to the grave in peace.
So that he sentenced him to a death sentence. Have you continue.
But show kindness unto the sons of Barzillai the Gileadite,
Yes.
and let them be of those that eat at thy table, for so they drew nigh unto me when I fled from Absalom thy brother.
And then we have Barzillai,
Right.
who all he did was just fix a good meal.
That's right.
Good food to go a long way. To show an act of kindness to David and his boys when he was fleeing from his own son,
That's right.
Absalom, who could have had the kingdom if he'd have just listened to that one man, that one advisor that gave him that good advice. You know, you have to go through the history on your own time. Absalom could have had it all.
Right.
But just for a simple act of kindness, when somebody's in need, you never know how long you can take it. And Barzillai and his sons and his family got invited to David's table. And that's just off of that one act. That he's telling Solomon, you make sure you take care of good people, like Barzillai and his people.
That's right.
Just for an act of kindness, a simple meal.
You never know. That's right.
You know, I get myself in trouble, but food goes a long way to the Nashim. You know, you can have that little model out there looking good to you young boys, but she can't cook no food.
That's right.
What good is it really doing? What good is it really doing? Hey, you continue.
And behold, is with thee Shimei, the son of Gera, the Benjamite of Bahurim, who cursed me with a grievous curse in the day when I went to Machanaim. But he came down to meet me at the Jordan, and I swore to him by Yahweh, saying, I will not put thee to death with the sword.
See,
now,
Shimei. You know, I wish Kyle was in here. So we're talking about his Benjamites, but he's not here. But Shimei was a guy who, what I would say, acted a monkey. He acted a plumb fool and cursed David with his lips and throwing rocks and in anger. This is us. We get angry when we see the teacher or the security guard, you know, handling one of our friends in the wrong way, and that the way you act can get you in trouble.
That's right.
I'm just trying to tell you young men right here, when you start lashing out for whatever reason, you better control yourself, because Shimei wouldn't have made the history if he really didn't. He was out there acting a straight fool. And one of those sons of Sidrah, they wanted to take him out. Had two opportunities to take him out after I reviewed the history. And David spared him both times. But ultimately, you know, Shimei gonna get his because he don't know how to follow instructions.
Right.
But either way, what I'm telling you is be careful how you act out when you feeling some type of way about certain things, because this man was out there throwing rocks at the king, cursing the king, this and that. And I know people act out all the time, especially us. Make fools of us. I read some article, some guy mad his package didn't come. He had the FedEx office to strip his clothes off or whatever, just because his package lost in the mail. Something crazy like that. But, I mean, that's the foolishness. And Shimei, just for him opening his mouth, he's going to get his. How do you continue?
now, therefore hold him not guilty, for thou art a wise man, and thou wilt know what thou oughtest to do unto him, and thou shalt bring his hoary head down to the grave with blood.
I mean, David issued out threats and death sentences. Like, dang, David should have done some of this yourself. Sound like Donald Trump up there, boy. I can hear Donald now on his way out. Yeah, make sure you kill this one and kill that one. Yada, yada, yada. But that just lets you know everything went right and with whatever David had going on. He was a busy man, but, you know, I don't know if Solomon should have been left with all this work All this work he had to put in.
But now you got
But either way, it's all to the plan of the Most High.
But now you
Those
got
things happened, and that he had to give out those decrees, and they were all wise.
Oh yeah, right.
They were righteous decisions. I mean, I don't know righteous, but they had to be done in order for Solomon to survive. Had to close it out at some point.
And David slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of David. And the days that David reigned over Israel were 40 years. 7 years reigned he in Hebron, and 33 years reigned he in Jerusalem. And Solomon sat upon the throne of David his father, and his kingdom was established firmly.
Yeah. And again, as you can see through these 12 verses, that David was not perfect.
That's right.
But the Most High loved him.
That's right.
Just because he kept the way that was in the path of the Most High. And he charged Solomon to do the same thing, and the order hasn't changed for us. We got to keep in the Most High's ways and what he left on record, and making sure we are, in accordance to those things. And that's how we receive the blessings and become the kings of the world. And when we become the kings, don't let the wealth and the greed and all those things tear us apart. When we have these big family feuds where it's uncle against nephew, cousin against cousin, and on down. Appreciate your time and attention. Shout out.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Let's give Akh Oren another round of applause. Thanking Yah for his words and all that he's been able to share with us on this portion. Truly, this is definitely a history to consider and think of. And when you listen to this portion, this history that we just went over, and you see the Sidrah and where the two could be compared, and you see the similarities in them, because this is a portion where, as he mentioned, as the Maftir rightfully mentioned, Cohane mentioned it as well, we spoke of it even in the Mizrah, it's a blessing to see how our forefathers were able to make transition, be able to have their family there and give their final words, be able to share whatever final instructions they needed to share with their children, and then peacefully lay down on their bed and expire or just make transition that way. It's a peaceful way to go. When you consider even in the Sidrah today how Yaakov is going to make transition, bless all his children, and then he can peacefully lay on his bed knowing that I got to say all my shalom and my goodbyes, and now I can leave this earth at peace, knowing that I was able to accomplish and do what I desired to do. Today we find ourselves leaving this earth in so many ways, people being shot, as the Maftir mentioned. You never even getting to say shalom to your family the way you would like to. And so many things happening to people today because of the way the earth is and how we live today. And this history is really something also that we need to consider, because we see so many times where our forefathers did wrong, but the way they came before the Creator and plead like Dawid, even all that took place in his life, all the wrong that he did, he still was able to come before the Most High and show his forgiveness. And the Creator, being a merciful power, was able to forgive him and give him this opportunity to make transition in such a way. And giving these final instructions to his children, he left Solomon with a peaceful kingdom. Solomon was able to take the throne, not having to worry about all of these enemies. David subdued all of these enemies. They were all afraid. Solomon didn't have anything to worry about. He just had to continue doing the right thing, following the hand of Yah, walking in the footsteps of his father, doing the right thing, praying before the Creator, following and complying with the laws of Yah. His mistakes is what caused him to lose the kingdom, and what caused and brought about trouble in his lifetime on the throne. The Creator, just using this and leaving this history on record, gives us an opportunity to see the flaws and mistakes of our forefathers and learn from these things. And in this return, we can grow before the Most High and apply such positive things in our lives and in the lives of our families, and teach our children the right way to live and how to carry ourselves. in order to receive a blessing from the King of this universe. Again, thanking our brother Akh Oren. Thanking God for his mercy, his love, his kindness, for his wonderful Shabbat. Let us do y'all the honor of standing and even sing the song HaTorah to Sidrah or to close the book of the Lord. The song HaTorah again on page 6 in our Sidrah. We're going to use the word Sidrah in place of the word Kesher.
Whereby shall we return unto thee, for thy word to give fulfilled by thy Lord, by thy Lord, in our hearts it is to be instilled. Our Torah, say our Torah with him, Lord. Oh, how can we draw closer to each other in the spirit of true righteousness? My Lord, by thy Lord, is the only way we must confess. Our Torah, Segora Torah, with him, Lord.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Let us join our voices to sing the song Jerusalem on page 2 in our songbooks. By the rivers of Babylon, yeah, we sat down and we cried. When we remember Jerusalem, we were sick, yet near to die. Jerusalem, 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 Judah, Jerusalem, 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 land where our fathers served Yahuwah. Our captors and the bus of songs to make birth and strength to land. If I forget in Jerusalem, then I'll put off my own right hand. Jerusalem, 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 Judah, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, And even sang the song Baruch Hashem on page 6 in our song bookings. Hallelujah. Baruch Hashem Shel Yahovah. Baruch Hashem Shel Yahovah. Baruch Hashem Shel Yahovah. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem Shel Yahovah. Blessed be the name of 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 Yahovah. Who knows the Baruch Hashem Shel Yahovah. Baruch Hashem Shel Yahovah. Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem Shel Yahovah. Hallelujah. Truly, God is great. He is merciful. He is awesome. You run out of words when you try to describe this power that we serve. Because there are no words to describe him and his greatness when you consider his hand in your life. If you truly think and consider all that he does and has done for you and I. This time I would like to call upon Cohane to read for us the beautiful 8th proverb. Thank you, Yah, for her being here, for each and every one of you, for giving us all this opportunity to, as he commanded, have a holy convocation and just get together and call upon his name and consider his hand in our lives and just say Todah Yah for all that he does for us time and time again. Let us welcome Cohane to read for us.
Shabbat Shalom. It's a blessing to be here this week. Thank the Most High for his blessings for life and having the opportunity to read the 8th proverb for the second time in the last couple of weeks. Doth not wisdom call and understanding put forth her voice? In the top of high places by the way where the paths meet she standeth, beside the gates at the entry of the city, at the coming in at the door she crieth aloud. Unto you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of men. O ye thoughtless, understand prudence, and ye fools, be ye of an understanding heart. Hear, for I will speak excellent things, and the opening of my lips shall be right things. For my mouth shall utter truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness. There is nothing perverse or crooked in them. They are all plain to him that understandeth, and right to them that find knowledge. Receive my instruction, and not silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all things desirable are not to be compared unto her. I, wisdom, dwell with prudence, and find out knowledge of devices. The fear of Yahweh is to hate evil. Pride and arrogancy and the evil way and the froward mouth do I hate. Counsel is mine and sound wisdom. I am understanding, power is mine. By me kings reign and princes decree justice. By me princes rule and nobles, even all the judges of the earth. I love them that love me, and those that seek me earnestly shall find me. Riches and honor are with me, yea, enduring riches and righteousness. My fruit is better than gold, yea, than fine gold, and my produce than choice silver. I walk in the way of righteousness, in the midst of the paths of justice, that I may cause those that love me to inherit substance, and that I may fill their treasuries. Yahweh made me as the beginning of his way, the first of his works of old. I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, or ever the earth was. When there were no depths, I was brought forth, when there were no fountains abounding with water. Before the mountains were settled, before the hills was I brought forth. While as yet he had not made the earth, nor the fields, nor the beginning of the dust of the world. When he established the heavens, I was there. When he set a circle upon the face of the deep. When he made firm the skies above. When the fountains of the deep showed their might. When he gave to the sea his decree, that the waters should not transgress his commandment. When he appointed the foundations of the earth. Then I was by him as a nursling, and I was daily all delight. Playing always before him, playing in his habitable earth, and my delights are with the sons of men. Now therefore, ye children, hearken unto me, for happy are they that keep my way. Hear instruction, and be wise, and refuse it not. Happy is the man that hearkeneth to me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the posts of my doors. For whoso findeth me findeth life, and obtaineth favor of Yahweh. But he that misseth me wrongeth his own soul. All they that hate me love death. Just thankful for another week, and to see you all, and that you're all here, and that we have warm weather again.
Gratefully.
I'm sure it will be short-lived, but I'm going to enjoy it while it's here. That's it. Shabbat shalom.
Thanks to Yah for Cohane, her words. Truly it is good to have a little warm weather. And what warm, it could be cold, because what we just enjoyed is warm. Man, it's just, Creator's great and he's awesome. And just to consider his hand, how the Most High can have one place in the world, one way, and when you come to another country, it's a whole nother atmosphere and a different type of weather you're in. This power that we serve is great. And there's none like Yah, our King and our Creator. Let us join our voices and come together to read the 24th Psalm and even proclaim who the King of Glory truly is. Yah, our power, he is truly the King of Glory. Let us join our voices and even read the 24th Psalm together as a family. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
The earth is Yahweh's and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. For he hath founded it upon the seas, and established it upon the floods. Who shall ascend into the mountain of Yahweh? And who shall stand in his holy place? He that hath clean hands and a pure heart, who hath not taken Yah's name in vain, and hath not sworn deceitfully. He shall receive a blessing from Yahweh, and righteousness from the power of his salvation. Such is the generation of them that seek after him, that seek thy face, even Yaakov, Selah. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, and be ye lifted up, ye everlasting doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who is the King of glory? Yahweh strong and mighty, Yahweh mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, Yea, lift them up, ye everlasting doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who then is the King of glory? Yehovah of hosts. He is the King of glory. Selah. Let us rise before the King of glory and acknowledge him, thanking him for this day in our lives. I'd like to take this time to acknowledge the head of this community, Akh Oren. I'd like to take this time to acknowledge our elders, John, and the many others, each and every one of you. Thanking God for your lives and this opportunity for each and every one of us to be here to praise and glorify his name. You may be seated at this time, our children. You can leave and go to your classes. On your level, we have classes that our children go to on the Shabbat day, which allow them to study and learn on their levels. Because this is a process of growth for each and every one of us. In this return, we all have much to learn, and our children sometimes have to be taught on their level. Yah is great. He's merciful. He's awesome. And as I said before, you lose and run out of words when you try to describe this power that we serve. It is truly a bittersweet feeling to be back here. The reason why I say bittersweet is because when you visit Guyana, when I go home, it's like you enjoy that, being home, but yet I miss the family here as well. When I'm here, I miss the family there as well. And so it is something that I've found myself just getting used to and understanding and knowing my portion. One who has to serve the Creator wherever he is, which we all should understand we have to do. We have to be a nation of priests. We have to be a people that stand to represent the Creator wherever we are. Our portion of study today begins, or continues, I should say, in the book of Genesis, the 47th chapter and the 28th verse. The name of our Sidrah or Sidrah for today is WaYeHi, and it means that he lived, because it speaks of Yaakov and continues, or speaks about the life of Yaakov as the portion continues here. And if we all can remember how the portion last week ended, it ended where Joseph was there as the Creator put him in a place in the land of Egypt where he was the one that the Creator would use to not only save many lives as it relates to his family, but also many other lives as well. The Egyptians, there were other nations that had to go into Egypt. Countries and people from afar, they had to turn to Egypt for salvation at that time because of the famine in the land. And the Creator had Joseph be that person who gave Pharaoh the advice and the wisdom as it relates to what needed to be done to save their lives and also the lives of his family and loved ones. Many times we find ourselves in places and positions in this earth where we're not even aware of why we're there or why the Creator would put us in that place at that time. We have to stay connected to the Almighty. This is what allows us to understand and know our role, what we're doing or what we're supposed to be doing, and how the Creator would use us in this earth to play whatever role or position we are to play in this return. And this is where Joseph found himself, going through so many challenges and not knowing why he was going through all of this, then finally understanding and realizing his portion, that the Creator had him taken from his family, go into slavery, placed in Egypt, found himself in a dungeon where he was in jail, wrongfully accused, came out of jail, and eventually found himself on top, just beside Pharaoh. Getting comfortable in that life, just realizing, well, I'm never going to see my family again. Then the Creator would bring his family back in a way that he never expected. Right. And now he's unified with his family, once again reacquainted with all of his loved ones and the children, so many that he didn't even see born. A blessing from the Creator to show him through it all how the hand of Yahweh is in the matter. Our portion continues now where Joseph was even given an opportunity to spend additional time with his father, time that he missed being away because the Creator took him away or had him taken away for a purpose. Our portion of study continues in the book of Genesis, the 47th chapter and the 28th verse, and it reads on this one.
And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. So the days of Jacob, the years of his life, were 147 years. And the time drew near that Israel must die. And he called his son Joseph and said unto him, Now I have found favor in thy sight. Could I pray thee thy hand under my thigh, and deal kindly and truly with me? Bury me not, I pray thee, in Egypt. For when I sleep with my fathers, thou shalt carry me out of Egypt, and bury me in their burying place. And he said, I will do as thou hast said. And he said, Swear to me. And he swore unto him. And Israel bowed down and upon the bed's head.
Hallelujah. This portion, this information here is so powerful in many ways because one, it allows us to see that in spite of the fact that the Creator separated Joseph from his family, he blessed Yaakov to live to see an additional 17 years when Yaakov at one point thought he was about to make transition. He had gone through so much in his life, and he just saw challenge after challenge. What he thought was something negative over and over again happening to him. Losing his wives. First he lost Raquel. Then he lost the handmaid. He found himself, as he felt, losing Joseph forever, never again being able to see him again. He was going through so much with his sons, he didn't trust them. To the point where everything now was revealed and unfolded by the Creator, and he finds himself in Egypt, a place that he never expected to be, reunited with Joseph, his son, that he never expected to see again, and blessed to live to see 17 years to spend more time with this son that he lost and that he was away from for so many years. This in itself is a blessing because this man had already wrote himself out. He felt as though, listen, I'm going to die eventually. I can't take no more of this. No more of hearing these sons of mine come to me giving me bad news after bad news over and over again. So much so the way he was like, you know, Sanford used to always say, this is the big one coming. I'm about to get the heart attack. That's how Yaakov felt. Who knows what they might walk in the door saying next, that he's going to get a heart attack and pass out. This is how he truly felt. But now he's in a place of peace. He's in a place of mental peace. And he said, you know what? Man, I feel like now I can truly say I had some good times. This last 17 years was a 17 years of peace that he was able to have after going through so much before. And now he realized that he's in a place where he feels as though he's going to make transition. He calls on Joseph. One, because he realizes Joseph has the power and the ability to make sure that his final desires come to pass. Because of Joseph's position in Egypt. So he calls on Joseph and makes Joseph swear to him that he will ensure that he is buried where his father and his forefathers were buried. Abraham and Yitzchak, his father, and their wives were buried. He knew and he recognized this place as a special burying place that he wanted to be buried in. And so he called Joseph and made him swear to him that after he makes transition, Joseph would ensure that he's taken there and buried in the cave of Machpelah, where Abraham, his grandfather, was buried, and where his father, Yitzchak, was buried as well. And the manner in which he did this, by having him put his hand under his thigh, this was an ancient way of promising and swearing. Today when we hear this, we start thinking of funny business sometimes because of where society has our minds and what's happening today in the world. But this was nothing suspect back then. This was common, and so it was nothing for him to say, put your hand under my thigh and swear. You know how today they do the pinky finger thing? That's how it was done back then. No pinky swearing. That was common in ancient days. And so he made Joseph swear to him because he wanted Joseph to understand how important this was to him that he was buried in that specific location.
And it came to pass, after these things, that one said to Joseph, "Behold, thy father is sick." And he took with him his 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And one told Jacob and said, "Behold, thy son Joseph cometh unto thee." And Israel strengthened himself and sat upon the bed.
And see, we have to realize that Joseph had a position in Egypt where Joseph was extremely busy. He was moving all the time. He had a lot of responsibilities. And so, even though he knew his father's condition, sometimes, you know, you find yourself so busy, things slip your mind. So somebody came in and said, "Oh, Joseph, your father's really sick. You might want to take a look. You may want to go and share some final words." And Joseph was like, "Oh, man, I haven't visited Abi in a long," you know, and he was reminded. And so he took his two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, and he went to his father because he wanted to get this final blessing. Joseph understood the culture of our forefathers. And he knew that when your father would make transition, or you found him, he found himself in a place where his father was about to make transition, the thought was to have your grandchildren and the next oldest in line receive that blessing, because you wanted to pass that blessing on from generation to generation. And with this in mind, he realized this is an opportunity. This is the time that I need to take my 2 oldest children and have them receive a blessing from their grandfather. Because he knew that Yaakov was in a place where at any time he could make transition. So he took Ephraim and Manasseh and he went to Yaakov, his father. Yaakov, now the word got to him. Listen, Joseph is coming. Because Joseph was well known in Egypt. Wherever he went, everybody knew Joseph's about to go over there. He's about to head over there. Yaakov got the word. Joseph is on his way to see you. So he tried to strengthen himself. So, you know, he didn't want Joseph to see him all laid out, looking down and looking sad, looking bad. So he tried to strengthen himself and put himself in a place or position where he could give Joseph, you know, his final words or blessing as he felt he should do, being his father.
And Jacob said unto Joseph, "Elohim Almighty appeared unto me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and blessed me, and said unto me, Behold, I will make thee fruitful and multiply thee, and I will make of thee a company of peoples, and will give this land to thy seed after thee for an everlasting possession. And now thy 2 sons were born unto thee in the land of Egypt, before I came unto thee into Egypt, are mine. Ephraim and Manasseh, even as Reuben and Shimon, shall be mine."
What Yaakov began to do here was, he found himself in a place where he started reminding Joseph of the blessing and the history that was given to him by Abraham and Isaac that was passed down to him. Joseph needed to be aware of what our true position was in this earth at that time, and also what our role was and what we as a people were promised by the Creator. He needed to also know and understand that he was not no Egyptian, and that we couldn't just get settled in Egypt and that be what we accepted and embraced as our portion. Because you have to realize this is what was going on at that time. Joseph had a position. You know how many times, just like we find ourselves today in this country, we find ourselves getting blessings. We get a good job. We have our businesses going. We think money is rolling and everything is going well with us. So we get comfortable. And we figure as if this is what this is the blessing. This is where we should be. Joseph had to be reminded, listen, don't forget your history, where we've come from. He said, Elohim appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me, and said to me, Behold, be fruitful and multiply. You're going to be blessed with a nation of peoples. Egypt is not where we're going to be settled in. Remember, the Creator told us we're going to be blessed with the land of Canaan, which is later on going to be named after us, the land of Israel. He had to remind Joseph and give Joseph a history lesson so that Joseph understood, don't get comfortable here in Egypt. Don't get settled and feel as if you're the man on top now. This is our blessing and this is our portion. No, this is temporary.
Absolutely.
We were brought here for a reason. Remember and understand the mission. You came here, I see, and you have to realize that you were brought here to save us in this situation because there's been a famine in this land and throughout these regions. But once this famine is ended, we have to continue to pass the word down to our children's children, that this is not our land. We cannot get settled here. We have to leave. Our land is the land of Canaan, which will later be named after us and called Israel. And so Yaakov was reminding Joseph of this and putting this in Joseph's ear so that he could pass this information along, and so that as Yaakov makes transition, this history lesson is shared and passed down from generation to generation. And also seeing his two grandchildren there, he took that opportunity to bless them as well.
And thy issue that thou begettest after them shall be thine. They shall be called after the name of their brethren in their inheritance. And as for me, when I came from Padam, Rachel died unto me in the land of Canaan in the way, when there was still some way to come unto Ephraim. And I buried her there in the way to Ephraim. The same is Bethlehem.
And so Yaakov, as he was speaking to Joseph, he found himself remembering his wife, Rachel. He may have seen Joseph, and Joseph's eyes and facial expressions reminded him of her. And so during the process of speaking to him, he said, you know what? I remember Rachel, you know. Such and such happened, and she made transition. Just thinking about that whole time and that moment when he lost her and how saddened he was, and to be reunited with Joseph, the blessing in it. He also, in looking at Ephraim and Manasseh, he claimed the both of them and said, listen, these two children are mine. This is how we find ourselves when we name the tribes. Instead of saying Joseph, we say Ephraim and Manasseh, because Yaakov claimed Ephraim and Manasseh as his children and said to Joseph, any other children you have after would be named after you. And you're going to find out, and we're going to see as this continues, that he's going to give these two children the blessing that would be given to Joseph, calling or considering these two to be that tribe, or Joseph, as opposed to just Joseph. It was now Ephraim and Manasseh.
And Israel beheld Joseph's sons and said, who are these? And Joseph said unto his father, they are my sons whom Elohim hath given me here. And he said, bring them, I pray thee, unto me, and I will bless them. Now the eyes of Israel were dim for age, so that he could not see. And he brought them near unto him, and he kissed them and embraced them.
You have a question?
Shabbat shalom. I don't mean to interrupt, but I always thought of this as him giving the double portion to Joseph as opposed to giving it to
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I believe that it was a combination of both. He gave Joseph a double portion, but he also claimed Ephraim and Manasseh as his, came like his. And that's sort of the thought that I was mentioning here. He said, listen, we're not going to name you as, you know, when we name the tribe.
Fall in the
exactly.
line, he falls in
Exactly.
You got a double portion.
You got a double portion. Ephraim and
You
Manasseh.
got the double portion that would have gone to the firstborn.
Yes.
He's blessing Joseph through his sons.
Through his sons, exactly. Blessing Joseph through his sons. Toda Rabah for the question and for the information. Also, there's a thought here that I would like to bring out. Joseph is mentioned in the 9th verse, and Joseph said unto his father, they are my sons whom Elohim giveth me. And he said, bring them, I pray thee. And he brought them, and he blessed them. It mentioned that, it said the eyes of Yisrael were dim at this time. And so his age, because of his age, what happened is when Joseph brought his children, Ephraim and Manasseh, up to his father Yaakov, Yaakov came the way he presented them. Yaakov is going to cross his hands. And so Joseph is looking at them. Joseph is going to assume because of his age, this is why he did this. But Yaakov knew what he was doing. In spite of the fact that this man is old, he still is guided by the Spirit of the Creator in his blessing one.
He knows what he's doing.
Even in his whole conversation with Joseph, he's guided by the Spirit of the Creator, because the things that he's sharing with Joseph is not just an old man speaking because he has amnesia or anything. Right. This man knows what he's doing. He understands why this moment is important, because the Creator placed the Spirit on him and shared things with him that caused him to give Ephraim the blessing as the firstborn, as opposed to Manasseh, who was rightfully the firstborn. Joseph at this time doesn't understand this. He's still under the assumption that, well, this is my father, he's old, you know, he may not be aware of what's going on. But Yaakov was clearly aware of what he was doing and what was going on.
And Israel said unto Joseph, I had not thought to see thy face, and lo, Elohim had let me see thy seed also. And Joseph brought them out from between his knees, and he fell down on his face to the earth. And Joseph took them both, Ephraim in his right hand, toward Israel's left hand, and Manasseh in his left hand, toward Israel's right hand, and brought them near unto him. And Israel stretched out his right hand, and laid it upon Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand upon Manasseh's head, guiding his hands wittingly, for Manasseh was the firstborn.
And so these two Banim, these two young sons, they were standing, you know, our little children, then they stand up underneath their father while Yaakov is speaking. And that's why I mentioned he brought them from between his knees. He said, come on, go up. This is your grandfather. Go, you know, give him a hug. Get this blessing. He had to push them up. They may have been a little scared or afraid or what have you. So he pushed them up, and he pushed them to where he placed them strategically so that the oldest, who was Manasseh, could get the blessing of the firstborn, and Ephraim could get the blessing of the younger. And it was customary that the father would place his hand, the right hand, on the head of the oldest and the left hand on the head of the younger to receive the blessing. This is how Joseph positioned them. But Yaakov crossed his hands because he wanted the younger, who was Ephraim, to receive the blessing of the firstborn, and the older to receive the second blessing. And so this is why what happened was Joseph now is going to find himself in a place where he's watching this whole thing like, what is he doing? And this is going to sadden him or offend him somewhat, because he feels as if Yaakov is blessing them the wrong way.
And he blessed Joseph and said, Elohim, before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac did walk, the power who hath been my shepherd all my life long unto this day, the angel who hath redeemed me from all evil, bless the lad, and let my name be named in them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Isaac. Slika. And let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. And when Joseph saw that his father was laying his right hand upon the head of Ephraim, it displeased him. And he held up his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head unto Manasseh's head. And Joseph said unto his father, Not so, my father, for this is the firstborn. Put thy right hand upon his head. And his father refused and said, I know it, my son, I know it. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. Howbeit his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his seed shall become a multitude of nations.
It's powerful and amazing how this man saw this ahead of time, because when we read the history now and we see how Ephraim was given a portion at one point, the tribe of Ephraim even held the kingdom to some degree. And there were kings coming out of the tribe of Ephraim when the kingdom separated. How did Yaakov know that? Only the Spirit and the guidance of the Creator could have shown him and made him aware of this. When Joseph didn't even understand what he was doing, this man crossed his hands at that time and gave Ephraim the blessing of the firstborn. And we see how the Creator in his might and in his understanding know things way before we're made aware of it. This is why we truly have to trust in the Creator. This is why we truly have to really grow to understand Yah and build and develop a personal relationship and rapport with Him. Because this power that we serve knows this earth and what's about to transpire in this earth. He has a plan that He's already set in motion, taking place while you and I are here on this Shabbat day. And if we're not connected with Him, we won't be made aware of His hand in this earth. This is what this whole piece is about. Knowing and working on your relationship, our relationship with the Creator right now. And not wasting any time. Because this power that we serve is preparing things for our future. For the future of our children and our loved ones. And we have to be connected to Him right now in our lives. We can't assume that we have time to lollygag and waste and fool around and later on we'll make it up. This is the moment, this very moment. And so we see here the Creator showing Yaakov these things and him even blessing the sons of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh. Joseph, unaware, tried to have him move his hands and place his hands in a different manner. But he said, no, I know what I'm doing here. He's going to receive a blessing as well, but his younger brother is going to be greater than he. And he had to make Joseph aware of what was going to happen in the future and prepare Joseph for this.
And he blessed them that day, saying, by these shall Israel bless, saying, Elohim, make thee as Ephraim and as Manasseh. And he set Ephraim before Manasseh. And Israel said unto Joseph, behold, I die. But Elohim will be with you and bring you back unto the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to thee one portion above thy brethren, which I took out of the hand of the Amorite with my sword and with my bow.
And so, after giving Ephraim and Manasseh his blessing, he reassured Joseph that, listen, everything that I told you is going to happen will happen. Put your trust in the Creator and know that we're only here in Egypt temporarily. This is a process, and the Creator is going to take us out of this, just as He promised Abraham, Yitzchak, my father. As He promised me, I'm reminding you, Joseph, and making you aware of the same promise and the same blessing as well. And then in closing, he mentioned to him, he said that, moreover, I have given thee one portion above thy brethren, which I took out of the hand of the Amorite with my sword and with my bow. It's believed that he was making reference to the plot of land that he received and purchased from Hamor and Shechem. And it doesn't really give clear detail as it relates to what he meant here, but this is what's believed here. Also, it could be that he was just, reassuring him that we're gonna get out of this situation here. We're gonna find ourselves in a place where we get a blessing from the Creator and not have to worry about what's going on with the Egyptians, the Amorite, or whomever. But we can only assume this because it's not clear as it relates to what he meant here. But one thing that I take from this is the fact that the Creator is a power who continues to show us things. And that if we're not connected to Him and with Him, we won't be aware of His hand in our lives and what He's telling us. And so you and I have to make sure every day in our lives we pray to Him. We stay connected to Him. we understand why and how the Creator is doing things around us. This is what's going to keep us close to the Most High and understanding what's happening around this earth and aware when the Creator is giving us signs that we need to go right or left. You and I have to stay strong and connected with the Creator so that we may be aware of what's happening in this earth. There's a lot going on today in the world. And it's more and more is continuing to happen. On the news, when you see what this president is doing today, how he's adamant about creating war with other countries, not even thinking about the people that are being put in harm's way. I found myself at a job, and this was a white guy that I was speaking to. And this white man said to me, I don't know, because you have to be careful with them. You don't know if they're trying to throw little hints to figure out whether you're for or against the president or whatever. So you have to be mindful as it relates to what you say to them. So, you know, you just listen to them, be like, yeah, okay, okay. And he was saying to me, he said, this man is just it's like he just want to start war. He's not even concerned about our sons and daughters that are going to die when he send them off to battle. He was talking about different people, I guess, that he knew, or friends of his that had to get ready to go to war and get ready to go out there because of this situation, these troops being sent overseas. And he was just upset about the whole matter. And I was just like, yeah, okay, he could have been lying to me. Could have been just trying to figure out, was I on the same side as he was? But I was just listening and said to myself, wow, we have to really start preparing ourselves and watching the hand of the Creator in this matter, because we don't know how this is going to turn out. And if you and I aren't connected to the Creator right now more than any time, when the Creator gives that sign, if we don't move fast enough, we can find ourselves and our families perishing because we didn't see that sign and we weren't connected with the Creator the way we should have been at the time that we should have been prepared for. And so in this portion, it'll really allow me to see how Yaakov was expressing to Joseph the importance of him understanding what his path was and what his role was, and not being caught up in the fun and a high position there in Egypt and all the blessings that he was receiving in Egypt, but also be aware that this is temporary. And we have to see and understand the same thing today. In spite of how much the Creator is blessing you and I here, so much that he's allowing us to accomplish, keep our eyes open and be aware of what's happening in this earth. So that when the Creator gives that sign for us to get up and move, we are ready to get up and move. And we're not caught up in this system and all the fun and games and the activities around us, so much so to the point where we lose sight of what our true role here is. It continues in Genesis, the 49th chapter, in the first verse.
And Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the end of days.
This here, the way Jacob or Yaakov said that was really mind-boggling to me, because it's sort of like he was telling them, let me tell you what your futures are going to be like. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen with you all, because there are things that I've been made aware of. And when somebody tell you that, really it made them think, and they were all wondering, I wonder what mine is going to be like, what he's going to have to say about me. So you better believe their ears were open and they were in tune to what he was saying, because they really wanted to know what was going to transpire in their futures later on. Because this is how he put it to them. Let me tell you what's going to befall you in the end of days. This also is something for us to consider, those who haven't chosen a tribe. And this blessing to me that Yaakov gives his sons, as opposed to the blessing that Moshe gave to the 12 tribes at that time, this is more of a personal blessing here. Yaakov really was looking at the personality of his sons at that time, things that transpired in his life and experiences that he had with them, personal experiences. And this to me is how Yaakov blessed them at this time, as opposed to Moshe just giving a general blessing to each tribe based on what he saw their personality or character to be at that time. And it reads in Genesis 49:2.
Assemble yourselves and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father. Reuben, thou art my firstborn, my might, and the first fruits of my strength, the excellency of dignity, and the excellency of power. Unstable as water, have not thou the excellency, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed. Then defilest thou it. He went up to my couch.
And so, if you listen here, he started off and it's like he just mentioned Reuben, yeah, you're the firstborn. You're supposed to be my might and my strength, the first fruits of my strength. You're supposed to display excellency and dignity and power, but you're unstable as water. You know, it's like he just went in on him after that. Speaking to him about, yeah, you should be getting this blessing of the firstborn. All of these good things, benefits you should be reaping. But that but came in because he was reminded of Reuben's actions and what he did. And so it's like he went off on him. Reuben got to be there. Like, oh man, I had to see this one coming. Started out good, but I had to see this one coming. And you better believe all the rest of them knew what he was talking about. They were there, yeah, we know what he's talking about. You know what you mean, Abba. And so here Reuben found himself really being reminded of his actions. And so when you look at the blessing that he received from Moshe, it was more or less along the lines of reminding or asking the Creator to be merciful towards the tribe of Reuben, because at that time the numbers of the Reubenites had dwindled away tremendously. We lost so many of them. So Moses' prayer was more or less a prayer of mercy, asking the Creator to remember Reuben and be merciful, because we were just losing so many of them at that time. And here we really, when you consider the personality of Reuben, one would use the term and really describe Reuben as someone who is just really unstable because of what was mentioned here by Yaakov. And also when you consider the blessing in general altogether, you really don't get much out of Reuben but the fact that he just was one who was really unstable. One who really was never focused and on point or consistent at what he was doing. One minute he's doing this, next minute he falls off. And so this is why today you find we label or we give that character as it relates to Reuben. We say Reubenites just seem to be unstable. They never get it together because of what was mentioned here in this blessing by Yaakov. And also when we read the blessing of Moshe, he just mentioned the fact that he wanted Yah to consider them and save the tribe of Reuben because we were just losing them so frequently.
Shimon and Levi are brethren. Weapons of violence, their kinship.
Watch it. Watch it. Watch it.
Let my soul not come into their council, unto their assembly. Let my glory not be united. For in their anger they slew men, and in their self-will they hogged oxen.
And so, as I mentioned before, you see Yaakov, again, even in blessing Shimon and Levi, his blessing is more directed towards personal experiences that he had with them, as opposed to their true character and personality and what they would turn out to be, which is how Moshe blessed them. Here he remembers in his blessing what Shimon and Reuben did to those Shechemites. With Shimon and Levi, did to the people of Shechem. The fact that he felt as if they were just cruel. And also he mentioned, he said in their anger they not only slew men, But they howled oxen. They killed animals in their anger. They were like, these animals, y'all are all part of this whole thing here too. Took it out on the animals and all because of their anger. Everybody. So he cursed their anger. He didn't curse them. He said, curse be their anger.
Right. There you go. That's right.
Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce.
And their wrath, for it was cruel.
I will divide them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel.
And scatter them in Israel, because in his blessing, he wanted them to be separated. He felt as if two people with this type of personality should not be together. You need to be over there and keep them way across there. Because if y'all get together, we're going to have some problems up in here. This was his way of blessing them. And remember, when Moshe gave the blessing, he never mentioned Shimon. Shimon never got a blessing because Shimon, he felt they were in that whole incident with the Baal of Peor. They just kept a bitter taste in his mouth. He was like, I don't even want to mention you because something might come out of my mouth like your father Yaakov cursed your anger. But Lewi, when Moshe gave the blessing, Lewi received a different blessing than what's mentioned here. Lewi was given a blessing of the priesthood, and they also were given a blessing as those that would lead the people to the Creator as well. Here, none of this is mentioned because Yaakov's blessing was more or less on a personal level.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
I want to point out that when you look into what Yaakov is saying, he's actually saying, I will divide them in Israel and scatter them. But remember, we have 48 Levitical cities, so they were scattered.
It was in there as well. You know? Even in Torah Rabbah, for the point, even in what he felt was cursing their anger, you could still see, based on what Cohane shaped me, I mentioned that this blessing still took place. They were scattered, as he mentioned, throughout the other tribes. Torah Rabbah for the point. Hallelujah.
Yehuda, these shall thy brethren praise. Thy hand shall be on the neck of thine enemy. Verse 8. I'll start again.
Oh my goodness.
Yehuda, these shall thy brethren praise. Thy hand shall be on the neck of thine enemies. Thy father's sons shall bow down before thee. Yehuda is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down. He coucheth as a lion. As a lioness, who shall rouse him up?
If you can recall, Yaakov really started understanding Yehuda as it came to the end of the matter with him being reunited with Yosef. And he really got to see the personality of Yehuda and how Yehuda had grown from the time where they were all hating on Yosef to the point where Yehuda took responsibility and led them back to him being reunited to his son Yosef. And in his blessing, he was just considering all of that and blessing Yehuda, mentioning that, listen, your hand is going to be on the neck of your enemy. He said, your father's son shall bow down before thee. He really started seeing Yehuda as the leader that he could have been and that he should be. And you could tell that this was the hand of the Creator showing him different things, because he not only spoke of Yehuda and what he saw, but he's going to speak of future events that are going to take place and how this man would be involved as our leader and even functioning as a king in the future. This was the hand of the Creator in the matter here, guiding him and showing him things that they didn't see and even notice at that time.
The scepter shall not depart from Yehuda, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, as long as men come to Shiloh. And unto him shall the obedience of the peoples be, binding his fold unto the vine, and his ass's coat unto the choice vine. He washeth his garments in wine, and his vesture in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk.
You better believe he also knew he knew different personality traits of Yehuda too. He realized, he said, yeah, You're going to be the one who's going to be the leader. You're going to be the king. Then he went on and he said, yeah, you're going to be binding your foal unto the vine too. And I know you like that yang. I also know, I don't think I didn't know that when you used to, when everybody else was down here dealing with the cattle and the animal, you were back in the corner there taking a sip and relaxing and drinking. I know you like that yang. This is this is just who you are, you know. In his blessing, he mentions little things and throw it out there. He said, his eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. What happens when you have a lot of teeth? You be smiling and laughing a lot. Your teeth be showing, yeah, your teeth white as milk. Because in this blessing, he found himself just speaking freely and discussing and talking about this man's true character and personality, and who he is and who he would be in the future going forward. He said, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, because you are going to be a king and a head figure in this nation in the future. He spoke of future prophecies and mentioned what would happen or what would become of Yehuda in the future. Yah was showing this man these things, and he knew and understood things that at that time his sons were probably there listening like, okay, I'm going to be that great. They had no knowledge of this, but they weren't aware that the Creator made Yaakov, made these things known to him. And this man was at this moment having a vision, seeing future information and prophecies of what would happen to these men and their sons after them.
Zebulun shall dwell at the shore of the sea, and he shall be a shore for ships, and his flank shall be upon Zidon.
He mentions Zebulun because remember, Zebulun's geographical location, Zebulun built by the shores. And the Zebulunites, this was something that was common. They liked to dwell on the seas. We had a brother from in Guyana, from the tribe of Zebulun. He used to like to be out there on the seashore as well. And the Zebulunites, if you recall, even in the blessing that Moshe gave them, he sort of mentioned things as it relates to Zebulun and the fact that they love to be on the sea. And this was the portion of the Zebulunites. Their portion of land that they would be given when we entered the land was actually by the seashore. And you're going to find that Yissaschar was nearby, right next to Zebulun as well.
Yissaschar is a large boned ass, couching down between the sheepfolds, where he saw a resting place, that it was good, and the land, that it was pleasant. And he bowed his shoulder to the bear, and became a servant under task work.
Yissaschar, unlike Zebulun, he preferred not to always be on the move. He was one who, hey, I like where I'm at. I'm going to settle down and relax here. And I'm going to just work hard in making this here my home and making this place beautified, because this is where I want to stay. And it mentioned that Yissaschar was large boned. They were built for that type of work. Yes, the tribe of Yissaschar. They weren't afraid to get down and work and get dirty, because Yissaschar just felt as if this is what I prefer to have. And so when Yissaschar was right there, one who would prefer to be where he was and not travel a lot, Zebulun would come after going on all of these trips on sea, would come down, him and Yissaschar would have these talks. Guess what I found out? Guess what I experienced while I was on the sea? Yissaschar be there listening to me. Yeah, okay. You want to come with me? No, I'm good right here. He was okay with his portion, because this is just the type of personality that the tribe of Yissaschar had.
Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan shall be a serpent in the way, a horned snake in the path, that biteth the horse's heels, so that his rider falleth backwards. I wait for thy salvation, O Yah.
And if you can recall, who was from the tribe of Dan that we can remember? Shimshon. Shimshon was from the tribe of Dan. And they compared Dan to a serpent, because the Danites, this was a man who, if you provoked him, then you would find out exactly what type of person he truly could be. If you remember, Shimshon was just wanted to be at peace. He was just pursuing a little old sister, doing what he was doing. It wasn't until those Philistines got him upset, that's when they found out exactly who he could really become. Because just like a serpent, if you know a snake will be curled up in a corner and he won't bother you. You can walk right past him, go up and down. But the moment you poke him or do something to disrupt him, now you have a problem on your hands, because now that snake can attack you. Plus, if he attacks you, he's what? He may be poisonous. And he can do some real damage to you, which is why the tribe of Dan was described and compared to a snake, because you don't know what you're getting yourself into until you disrupt him and get him upset.
Gad, our troops shall troop upon him, but he shall troop upon their heel.
You see how simple they left this here blessing? Yaakov left this blessing here for Gad. But in the other portion, it mentioned Gad. It said that, blessed be he that enlargeth Gad. And it also mentioned the fact that Gad had the largest territories among the western tribes. It also mentioned that, remember, the tribe of Gad, they were the ones who ended up settling beyond the Jordan, because they decided that they wanted that portion when they saw, after we destroyed Cohane, king of the Amorites, and Og, king of Bashan, the tribe of Gad, along with half of the tribe of Manasseh, they were some of the ones who decided they wanted to stay over there on that portion, instead of going across the Jordan to the rest of the land where the rest of the tribes were. Gad was also one of the first ones to decide which territory he wanted. And it's mentioned here, though, that it says, a troop shall troop upon him, but he shall troop upon their heel. In that battle, when we took Cohane, king of the Amorites, those Gadites, they were no joke. They weren't afraid. And remember, the tribe of Gad, because of where they were, where would the enemy have to attack first if they were going to come over and get to us? They would have to pass through Gad. So don't think that Gad was put there, it was okay for you to just take advantage of him because they seemed like they were easy for you to walk over. You would find yourself in some deep trouble because you underestimated them. And so in Yaakov's blessing, he said, yeah, a troop. He said, Gad, a troop shall troop upon him, but he shall troop upon their heel. You may underestimate him, but you'll find out that he's a true warrior if you underestimated him.
As for Asher, his bread shall be fat, he shall yield royal dainties. Asher
was the one that everybody always liked. He always had something nice to say. He was the one that when you were down and sad, you could say, that Asherite always had that little smile on his face. We have a brother from the tribe of Asher. You know him, you know exactly who I was speaking. Every time you pass, he just always got this little smile. Yeah, always got a joke to tell you. Some joke to share with you and just keep you just smiling like, man, this brother is just nothing but always have a positive ruach and a positive attitude. And it mentioned here, it says, as for Asher, his bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainties. He's going to be one that's going to be blessed. And he's going to have a personality that's loved by many, by others as well, because of how he carried himself, always with a smile on his face and always at peace, ready to get that blessing.
Naphtali is a hind let loose. He giveth goodly words.
We thinking about our Naphtali right now, right? Yeah, he gives goodly words. Naphtali, don't start hating on Naphtali now. Naphtali does give goodly words, because when you look at, when you give, these are just, it's something for us to smile and laugh at, because today when we find ourselves naming our tribes today, we use these blessings and we try to choose a tribe based on the blessing that we notice here. And many times as a person, if you're someone who hasn't chosen a tribe yet, and you don't feel as if any of these characteristics suit you, you may be someone who may not have known or may not be aware right now what tribe you're from. And you can take time. This is no rush. This is nothing that you have to rush into. Remember, a lot of our tribes, we were mixed in. We married into one another. You may notice a lot of different personality traits from multiple tribes that your father or your grandfather had. And you may not be able to point out what tribe you're from at the moment, but this is no rush. And this is nothing that you have to do. And so the tribe of Naphtali, going back to Naphtali, it says, is a hind that loose. He giveth goodly words. This was someone who always had something positive to say to you. When you found yourself down or depressed, if you went to Naphtali, he could say something you like, hey, it's going to be all right, man. Trust in Yah. You're going to get a blessing in it all. Just work through the process, you know. This was someone who always had something good and positive and uplifting to share with you so that you could find yourself in a place where you knew or felt as if there was hope again.
Joseph is a fruitful vine. A fruitful vine by a fountain. His branches run over the wall. The archers have dealt bitterly with him and shot at him and hated him. But his bow abode firm, and the arms of his hands were made supple. For the hands of the mighty one of Jacob, from thence, from the shepherd, the stone of Israel, even by the power of thy Father, who shall help thee, and by the Almighty, who shall bless thee with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep, with that croucheth beneath, blessings of the breast and of the womb.
Joseph, it felt as though his blessing wasn't ending. And you know the rest of them had to be looking like, yeah, still showing favoritism. You know? Because this is the way they felt all along, as if Joseph got the coat of many colors. Now even in the blessing, all our blessing was like this, but his is this long. You know, and he's just talking on and on about Joseph. Then it was mentioned, it said, first he started out, Joseph is a fruitful vine. A fruitful vine by the fountain. So you're not only just a vine, you're next to a fountain where you're going to be watered all forever. You're getting the best of the water and treatment. Then he said the archers have dealt bitterly with him. They know who the archers were. Well, we were the archers. We did deal bitterly with him.
That's why they came back.
And so, they shot at him and hated him. But his bow, a bold firm, he stood firm through it all. He still made it through all of this bad treatment that they gave him. And here Joseph's blessing continues. Joseph even found himself, the tribe of Ephraim and Manasseh, receiving a similar blessing through Moshe as well. And so you see, this was not just coming from Yaakov, who showed favoritism towards him, but this was the hand of the Creator as well in this matter, because Joseph was to receive this double portion. This was promised to him. This was something that was given to him by the Creator, not just by Yaakov, who loved him because this was, as he put it, his favorite son.
The blessings of thy father are mighty beyond the blessings of my progenitors. Unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills, they shall be on the head of Joseph, and on the crown of the head of the prince among his brethren.
And so his blessing was a great blessing. He was blessed with wealth beyond that which his brothers were blessed with. And so here now, in closing, Yaakov moves to Benjamin, but you're going to see how Benjamin's blessing by Yaakov is different than the blessing that he received from Moshe.
Benjamin is a wolf that rappeth. In the morning he devoureth the prey, and at even he divided the spoil.
He divided the spoil. Benjamin was likened to be one who would get up early, go to work, do what he had to do, get his work and everything done early, and in the evening he could just relax and sit back and just count all his wealth. There are people like that. They just prefer, listen, I prefer to wake up at 3, 4 o'clock, get out there, grind, get my day done, and I can get home early. Now I could just sit back and enjoy the rest of my day. That's the type of person Benjamin was. And that's why I mentioned it, liken him to a wolf that raveneth in the morning, because if you know wolves and even wild dogs, they try to get out early so they could catch that animal that's out there sailing or that's just wandering, believing that nothing's going to be up this time in the morning. He's now going to take advantage of that early morning sun and that opportunity to get out there and get it done before the day begins. This was the personality of Benjamin.
All these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is it that their father spoke unto them and blessed them. Everyone according to his blessing he blessed them. And he charged them and said unto them, I am to be gathered unto my people. Bury me with my fathers in the cave that is in the field of Ephron the Hittite, in the cave that is in the field of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the land of Canaan, which Abraham bought, with the field from Ephron the Hittite for a possession of a burying place. There they buried Abraham and Sarah his wife. There they buried Isaac and Rebekah his wife, and there I buried Leah. The field and the cave that is therein, which was purchased from the children of Het. And when Jacob made an end of charging his sons, he gathered up his feet into the bed and expired, and was gathered unto his people.
What a way to be able to make transition. After he put his or set his house in order, then he just laid back in his mitah, in his bed, and he made transition. And he also, remember, Yaakov told Joseph privately that he wanted him to take him to the cave of Machpelah and bury him there. Now he's mentioning it publicly, not just to Joseph, but to his brothers as well, so that they all would be made aware of what his final wishes were. And you're going to find out as we continue that they were not the only ones that heard of these final wishes. The Egyptians were made aware of this as well. And this is going to work to Yaakov's benefit, or to Joseph's benefit, I should say, because Joseph is going to be able to tell him, listen, now I want you all to tell Pharaoh what you all heard my father say, what his final wishes were.
And Joseph fell upon his father's face and wept upon him and kissed him. And Joseph commanded his servants, the physicians, to embalm his father. And the physicians embalmed Israel. And 40 days were fulfilled for him, for so are fulfilled the days of embalming. And the Egyptians wept for him 70 days. And when the days of weeping for him were past, Joseph spoke unto the house of Pharaoh, saying, If now I have found favor in your eyes, speak, I pray you, in the ears of Pharaoh, saying, My father made me swear, saying, Lo, I die in my grave, which I have digged for me in the land of Canaan, there shalt thou bury me. Now therefore let me go up, I pray thee, and bury my father, and I will come back.
Now, something that we have to realize, this was something that was common among the Egyptians, where they would embalm people to preserve their bodies. This is not something that we do today. We don't embalm our loved ones so that we can preserve their bodies and spend days and months and weeks mourning or what have you. This was an Egyptian custom or practice. And this also preserved the body, because at that time they had a time frame. They had, it mentioned here, 40 days of mourning, because Yaakov was not seen to just be anyone. This is the father of Joseph. And so this was something big. And so they preserved his body because they had times where they would mourn, and this was a process of time. Days went by. After this time frame was ended, then Joseph mentioned to them, listen, now you all know my father had a special request. He wanted to be buried in this location. And he had the Egyptians also mention this or put this in the ear of Pharaoh as well, because To have it just come from him, or to have it come from them as well, would have more weight in the ears of Pharaoh. And this would also make Pharaoh really consider sending him as well. Because remember, Joseph wasn't an Egyptian. You know the thought had to cross Pharaoh's mind, well, maybe he's just trying to get away. You know? Right. So Pharaoh now, Joseph telling the Egyptians, I want you all to mention this to Pharaoh as well. This strengthened his position and allowing Pharaoh to let him go, because truly this was his father's wishes and he had no desire to just travel or leave Egypt or get away from Egypt.
And Pharaoh said, go up and bury thy father according as he made thee swear. And Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt, and all the house of Joseph, and his brethren, and his father's house. Only their little ones, and their flocks, and their herds, they left in the land of Goshen. And there went up with him both chariots and horsemen, and it was a very great company.
So they took up, they had a whole group that went up with them. Don't think that this was just security for Joseph. This was to make sure Joseph come back too. And also, remember, it mentioned they left their little ones and their children and their cattle back there, because you better believe Pharaoh probably gave instruction. What all they taking? How many of them going? Make sure all of y'all go. Even though he's a leader here, make sure he come back. You know? So he had to ensure that not only was Joseph and all of these honorable men that went with him protected, but that everybody came back as well. Right. And that everyone was safe along this journey.
And they came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond the Jordan. And there they wailed with a very great and sore wailing. And he made a mourning for his father 7 days. And when the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning in the floor of Atad, they said, this is a grievous mourning to the Egyptians. Wherefore the name of it was called Abel Mitzrayim, which is beyond the Jordan. And his sons did unto him according as he commanded them. For his sons carried him into the land of Canaan and buried him in the cave of the field of Machpelah, which Abraham bought with the field for possession of a burying place from Ephron the Hittite in front of Mamre.
And so when they got to the location, they were probably singing songs, shouting chants, mourning. And the people of the land, the Canaanites, saw all of this commotion going on, and they were like, wow, this must be somebody really important amongst the Egyptians. They knew that this was a funeral and that they were mourning the loss of someone great. And they took them all to be Egyptians because of what the majority looked like. Everybody was probably dressed mostly in Egyptian attire, so they just figured these are all Egyptians, not knowing that there were Hebrews mixed in between them. But they knew that this was the mourning of someone who was great in Egypt.
And Joseph returned into Egypt, he and his brethren and all that went up with him to bury his father after he had buried his father. And when Joseph's brethren saw that their father was dead, they said, it may be that Joseph will hate us and will fully requite us all the evil which we did unto him. And they sent a message unto Joseph, saying, thy father did command before he died, saying, so shall ye say unto Joseph, forgive, I pray thee now, the transgression of thy brethren, and their sin, for that they did unto thee evil. And now we pray thee, forgive the transgressions of the servants of the power of thy father. And Joseph wept when they spoke unto him.
Joseph wept when they spoke to him because he was truly and deeply hurt and moved by this. To hear this, he felt bad because to know that his father would actually leave those words with him. This hurt Joseph, and they're lying.
Yeah.
They're over here lying because their conscience is still bothering them. They still feel as though, you don't know what he might do now. They felt like the only reason why he was dealing right with them and nice with them was because their father was alive. Now that he's out of the picture, we don't know what to expect. So they probably had a little huddle. Listen, how are we going to handle this now? You know, Joseph, he might come down on us. And so they conjured up this story and sent this message to him. And when Joseph got this message, he's hurt because he feels bad to know that his father would even have to tell him something like that, knowing where his heart truly was. And so now he responds to this message that he got from them.
And his brethren also went and fell down before his face. And they said, behold, we are thy bondmen.
This adds to it now. Joseph there crying and feeling bad. They all come forward. See your bondmen. They didn't know what those tears meant. They didn't know if those tears were tears that now I'm about to tear y'all apart, or whether those were truly tears that he was saddened by, but they just came and put themselves out there like, listen, we your bondmen, do whatever you want to do to us. But Joseph is saddened because he want to know, how could y'all even think I would do something like this or even consider something like this, knowing that I realize and I've forgiven you all. This was all the hand of the Creator in this man.
And Joseph said unto them, fear not, for am I in the place of Elohim? And as for you, ye meant evil against me, but Elohim meant it for good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive.
Now therefore, fear ye not.
I will sustain you and your little ones. And he comforted them and spoke kindly unto them.
Because this is how he truly felt, and he was genuine in how he felt. And he just reassured them that they had nothing to be concerned about. Listen, I'm not holding any ill feelings towards you all. I'm past this. I realize this was the hand of the Creator in the matter to bring me here, even though you all had bad intentions. This was the hand of the Creator to bring about something good in the whole matter.
And Joseph dwelt in Egypt, he and his father's house. And Joseph lived 110 years. And Joseph saw Ephraim's children of the third generation. The children also of Maftir, the son of Manasseh, were born upon Joseph's knees.
He got to see his great-great-great-grandchildren. This was a blessing. And he had he had the children of Maftir, the son of Manasseh, his grandson, born on his knees. This is the hand of the Creator blessing him to be able to see and experience all of this in spite of what he went through. And you see how the Creator can take us through different things in life, but we have to stand strong in Yah through it all, because the Creator can show us that the final matter would be a blessing in store for you and I, as long as we trust in Him.
And Joseph said unto his brethren, I die, but Elohim will surely remember you and bring you up out of this land unto the land which he swore unto Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. And Joseph took an oath of the children of Israel, saying, Elohim will surely remember you, and you shall carry up my bones from hence. So Joseph died, being 110 years old, and they embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin in Egypt.
And in making transition, what did Joseph do that Yaakov did as well with him? He reminded his brothers and the generation there what the mission was. He made them aware that, listen, I may make transition here. We may still be in Egypt, but this is not our final stop. We have to continue, and I want you all, when you leave here, to take my bones out of this place, because he understood that that's not where he wanted to be, and that's not where he wanted his body to be laid to rest. He wanted to leave that land of Egypt and experience having his bones buried in their place in the land of Canaan, the land that was promised to them by the Creator and Maker of heaven and earth. May the Creator give us all understanding. May He help each and every one of us see and know our purpose, our role here in these lands of our captivity. May He open our minds to what's going on in this earth and make us aware of His hand in this earth, so that we understand, just as he made our forefathers understand what their role and place was in those lands of their captivity. May the Creator strengthen each and every one of you, each and every one of us in his path, so that we understand and know what it is that we ought to do and how we should live in order to receive a blessing from Yah, our King and our Creator. You would do Yah the honor of standing. May the power of this universe, Jehovah, our King and our Creator, grant each and every one of you a blessing according to the words of this blessing, found in Numbers, the 6th chapter and the 24th verse. It is he, Yah, our Creator, who have the power to bless. May he bless you according to this blessing. Yivarek ka Yehoah wa yishmareka. Ya'ir Yehoah panayo aleka wikuneka. Yisa Yehoah panayo aleka wa yasem leka. Shalom. Yehoah will bless thee and keep thee. Yehoah will cause his face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Yehoah will lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. Hallelujah! 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 Kaya! 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 The Tayavon Lakem have a hearty appetite. Services will resume at 3:30.